Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Savvy Talk. This season, I'm excited to bring you leading voices from those shaping Dubai's cultural and business scene. Today, my guest is Lynn Al Khatib, who's the group head of communication at Chalhoub Group, the largest luxury retailer and distributor in the Middle East and North Africa. She comes to us with more than 15 years of experience in corporate and brand, including working with companies like Nestle and leading campaigns from them on nutrition and wellness. And now she deals with some of the coolest brands in the world, overseeing comms. It's really exciting for me to talk to another communications professional because I love this field so much, and she is one of the pros. And I'm really, really excited, Lynn, to have you on the show today. Welcome to Savvy Talk.
Wow, thank you for this intro. I feel a little old, but thanks. Yes,
No,
pretty
we're
much wraps it up.
experienced. We have experience.
Very
And by the way,
experienced.
experience is something that you really need in this day and age, in this market, especially with all the challenges and things that we're facing in the market with the introduction of digital and social and AI and brands competing with voice and share of attention for consumers. So I think it's really, really relevant that we're having this conversation today. I really want to kind of start by introducing our listeners to who you are and tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into comms.
Yes, I don't think we have enough time for this whole journey. It's been quite an interesting and intense journey, but I'm a nutritionist by education, Master of Science, researcher, super geek. And after I worked a little bit in research and clinical nutrition, I got into Nestle as the nutritionist that is doing marketing. Communicating the science, talking about different aspects of product ingredients, fortification, probiotics, and God knows, no one had a clue about any of it back in 2007. So this is where I started communicating and working with marketing to translate difficult topics like scientific topics, research into multiple audiences. So sometimes to consumers, to healthcare professionals, to government authorities, doing their product registration dossiers and all of that. And even though I still had nutrition at the core of what I did, product development and recipes, and I was the police, they called me, because I would reduce the sugar, this can't go out, this has to be lower, like all of these things. But at the same time, always the communication and scaling up the information, and this is where when the CEO at that time wanted to put internal communication in the comms team. It was in HR, which is in most companies. I was like, okay, I think I want to do that. And it was quite unknown what internal comms was really at that time. And I felt like there's, a strategy in it. There's the leadership aspect. I could see the CEO had something more than sending emails on who got married and who got a baby and things like that. It was really something more. So that's how the journey started. Fast forward all my career, internal comms is still at the heart of what I do. But then, of course, this evolved into corporate communications strategy, crisis management, personal branding, thought leadership, media relations, and on all aspects of corporate communication. This is basically how it evolved. So I learned on the job. I learned by meeting experts and amazing people. I learned from the journalists as well. And of course, going to the center in Switzerland is basically also one of my biggest 2-year experiences there, where I did marketing plus sustainability plus purpose, all of it on the packaging for consumers. So putting it all together in a project, which was very, very exciting. And yeah, finally I came to Chalhoub.
And you've been at Chalhoub for how long?
It's almost 2 years now, in August. Time flies.
That's wonderful. So I always believe that internal comms is sort of the unsung hero of communications. Like everyone spends a lot of time doing communications to the media or to the stakeholders or to the customers, but they don't spend enough time talking to their employees and their team members who are actually the ambassadors of the business, right? So if you do a good job of sharing with your employees and team members your vision, their purpose, where the company's going, what are the plans, what are the challenges, it allows them to be empowered to do so much more for the business, right? Tell me a little bit
100%.
about like your transition from, obviously you started internal comms and nutrition. Now you work for a luxury retailer, and it's a completely different, industry and scope and size of what you're doing. Corporate and brand communications. How is that different than what you did in internal and what you did at Nestle?
Pretty much it's similar. It's not different because I did before internal media and as well as media relations, public affairs stuff, as reporting also on sustainability and all aspects of communication, corporate communication, plus handling the corporate brand, right? So that's a big part of branding. So the industry shift at this level and at this stage felt that, okay, here I'm going to learn the industry and apply the strategic communication skills to a new industry. So for me now, it's just about understanding the consumers, the partners, our employees, the culture. Going from corporate to family business as well is something I'm adapting to. I've adapted already. I think I feel like I've been there 10 years, which is amazing. So for me, it's now the things that my team handles is internal communication, which, as you said, it all starts with internal
All right.
communication. The external part, which is media relations and public affairs, and then we have a team which we call the powerhouse team, which is the branding team that has production. It has the brand design, brand strategy, social digital media, and events, and we support the corporate brand mainly, and we amplify the voice of the product or of the brands that work towards the consumer. But we don't do
Yeah.
necessarily the influencer marketing and direct consumer as such. We support and we amplify.
Yeah, but think about, like, a lot of people don't know, marketing versus PR versus communications, what the difference is. But you are working on corporate, you're working on brand, you're working on reputation, you're working
Yes.
on philanthropy, you're working on social, you're working across different aspects of communications. How has it changed, like, and how is like the way that the market works now in real time change the way you do your job? And what are some of the things that you, as a head of comms of a very big company, think about every day? I want to talk a little bit about social, but I want to just ask generally about, how do you do real-time communications in this modern age of always on?
Yeah, it's changed quite. There are things that change significantly and things that are still the fundamentals of communication, which is number one, understand your audience, be human, be real. That doesn't change no matter what technology, what AI, what anything comes to your way. Basically, you must be credible. You must show, don't tell, which is what I always say. Feel, don't listen. And so for me, these are the things that are consistent. Of course, the things that majorly changed is the news, how you deal with news, how fast you are, because the journalists are also in real time. So the evolution of the whole ecosystem is different. Today, the journalists publish immediately. They get the news, they're able to publish, they're able to reach their audiences. Before, we used to work on a story that waited for print, and if we missed the print, then the news is late, and so on. So that was kind of, I can't believe it, So we had a quarterly internal newsletter, also in an A3 newspaper format. So I think real time makes us very agile and handling any issues or crisis very, very quickly, much faster than before. And also at the same time, when it comes to internal communications as well, especially that, I think it's going live in like a second from our studios is something that adds a lot of value. It creates transparency, trust. In times of COVID, this was definitely accelerated exponentially. But today, we have a message. We just go live. All the employees listen. They know firsthand. So really, this is an amazing asset to what we do.
Yeah. And talking just a little bit about social, which you touched on a bit, but like, it's becoming increasingly important in the digital landscape and in our communications toolbox. Like if you don't have a good social media strategy, or you aren't consistent with what you're doing on
Yeah.
corporate and brand and media strategy with the social media. So how do you approach it at Chalhoub, and what are some of the strategies that you've used to engage audiences that have worked?
Look, I think in general, the social media strategy, as per our com strategy, so we have one communication strategy, right? One ambition for the group. And
One.
for us, social media is it's just a space where we also that contributes to the strategy. The other parts are the personal relations we build, the stakeholder relations, the employees. So social media strategy for us is about number one, authenticity and transparency, because for us it's credibility, where the days of slogans and campaigns that look nice with models in them and perfect people in them is gone. So social media is really credibility, transparency, authenticity. The other strategically is really, of course, data driven, audience centric, and platform specific, right? So we must always adapt ourselves to see what works in the data, that what it's telling us, and of course per platform. So you find us having more thought leadership on LinkedIn. You find us engaging in video content so much more these days, of course, naturally. So this is kind of the how we approach social media. But the strategy is, it's always towards we have three main content pillars, right? People,
Okay.
business, and brand sustainability. And no matter what we communicate, it has to be within these three pillars. So we're consistent, and on brand. So I think this has been really helping increase tremendously the engagement on social. It's a two-way conversation. It's no longer we're not just telling people anything. We're engaging. We're having a conversation, and we're just showing real life and real people.
I love that. One of the biggest things that is, as you know, is happening on social is there's a lot of collaboration with different partners and different stakeholders. And, you work with some of the biggest brands in the world that are part of Chalhoub Group. How is the recipe for collaborations and partnership work at the company? And what do you look for in a partner? And what are you looking for in stakeholders to keep them engaged, even in the industry or in the community that you operate in?
Look, I think certainly corporate communications and corporate affairs does a lot to build stakeholder engagement, but every single person in our group is obsessed with two things: our consumer and a long-term relationship with the partners. So this is not a comms side job, So
Yep.
everyone every day wakes up to say, okay, am I making sure I'm relevant to my partners? Am I adding value? Am I helping to build their brands in the region? Am I, contributing to localizing their content, their collections, and things like that? So that's not a communication, a specific action, right? So for me, this is at the core of our DNA and purpose of the group, to inspire, accelerate, delight in everything we do. So the relationships are kept through, of course, our long-term partnership, through we deliver on the promise. The group also has resources in-house, which is very competitive, in addition to the, what we call the plug and play services that a retail partner gives. So I feel that, having the insights, the intelligence, the legacy, and the history of the brand is number one, is the credibility. We deliver
100%.
on the promise. Now, for the corporate affairs and comms team, this is where that credibility fuels everything we do,
Comes in.
because then we are walking the talk. We are, we know if we're saying it, we're not building, fluff without substance. So that's where our role then is: how can we deliver on business strategy? How can we help the business, be it employer branding, be it connecting with government officials, who we collaborate on projects for the community, for the workforce, or for example, I don't know, growing the retail sector, because you want to grow the pie, because the governments are really involved. Sustainability, our sustainability team is highly engaged together to contribute to solutions. So I think we build credible relations by collaborating towards a common goal. You know, it's
Right.
not just networking. It's really not
Yeah,
just
it's
networking.
really building. I want to just jump on that sustainability thing. What do you mean by that? Like, what are some of the things that you focus on sustainability in retail? Just to explain to our listeners.
Of course, I think, well, next week we will be publishing our sustainability report, and the sustainability team is super proud to publish our net zero commitment. So that's one of the pillars, planet, of course. And as a retailer, I mean, our operations must be, you know, net zero. We must contribute to the planet. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot of support from the government. It takes a lot, like now for COP28, retailers work together as well. So stakeholder relations is to all of us work together to achieve that. That's one part, right? So how can we reduce our emissions? Do we have enough electric cars? Did we get electric cars? Are our warehouses energy efficient? Do we have enough solar panels? So that's a collaboration with
Good.
other industries like, Schneider and the government and so on. So stakeholder engagement happens with different owners in the company, but this is how we build the relation. We build it by working together towards something.
What is one of the recent I recently saw you guys launched a campaign called hashtag MyBoldFuture.
Yeah.
What is it? What inspired the campaign? What is it all about? Explain to me what that is all about.
Yeah, we love that campaign. We're so proud of it. So we launched My Bold Future, and it's an Arabic campaign, by the way. نحن المستقبل. So
Yep.
My Bold Future is our English iteration, but it's only
English
Arabic.
version. Yep.
Yes. So, but the campaign is Arabic only. There isn't even
Good.
English. It's basically in Saudi Arabia as well, just Saudi. The objective of this campaign was two things. The first is to create awareness on Chalhoub Group as an entity. Since last year, we started operating directly as a legal entity in the kingdom. And we were able to also create awareness as a group on the brand name. We wanted to create awareness on also the portfolio, what it's like to work with us. We're a great place to work in Saudi Arabia. Portfolio of brands and what, working in retail means as well for people. The second objective, of course, of the campaign was towards the biggest business need, which is recruiting and attracting talents. And retail, specifically in the store consultants. So we wanted to demystify what it's like to work in retail, to maybe clarify the skills needed. Maybe people thought or didn't think, they didn't know what skills they needed to work in retail. They maybe didn't have clarity on the career path. It could be a step into a long career and success in this industry, especially luxury retail, which is very experiential, very unique, very relationship driven
Bespoke.
as
Yep.
well, bespoke. So these were the two core objectives. And of course, our in phase one, which was last year, were our own store consultants, our own team members,
Yep.
who shared and really accepted and were so happy to share their experiences, their background, what they do at work, and how they grow in their careers. So that was last year. And this year we did phase two, which is actually asking all the leaders to go into the store or be in the shoes of the store consultants for a day and really be guided by the store consultant and reflect on their journey, because we also want to show that it's everyone's business. Like, we all need to understand retail, that this is really the powerhouse of our group.
Yeah. So the premise of the campaign is to inspire people to choose careers in retail and also to help them understand what's the career path, how does luxury retail work. And, Saudi is really coming onto the scene in so many ways. Fashion savvy youth, tech savvy youth. Like, it is really happening in terms of culture. And even if you look at film and movies, things that are coming out of Saudi are really what's popping in culture. So how have you been tapping into that? And what is some of the feedback you've gotten so far since you've launched it?
So I think the feedback was really good. I mean, the data shows it. Again, being data driven, it was an online campaign mainly. The basically, from an awareness perspective, it really showed an increase in our brand health, and increased awareness of the group. But most importantly, it helped us really attract talent. So we really got CVs recruitment, applications, because we did collaborate with our talent acquisition teams and the leaders in the market to really launch the right roles and push them as well with the campaign. So we wanted that call to action so that we can immediately attract the talents. And also, especially to clarify that you can have any background and really choose to learn, because we do have also our learning academies and university to help grow your career and you grow as well. So when it comes to that, I think the feedback was very positive, especially from some of our partners, such as the Fashion Commission, who actually featured this campaign in Fashion Futures last year, also to shed light, because they focus on the designers and the local brands and the proud Saudi designers. At the same time, for them, the ecosystem is very important. So it
Yeah,
was
I'm
really
sure.
also welcomed by multiple stakeholders, because it kind of has a bigger benefit for the community as well.
So, a big part of the campaign is to inspire the next generation of the workforce in fashion retail to kind of come into the space. Make the pitch to me now. What are some like 3 reasons I should try to, if you're talking to your Saudi audience right now, get a career in fashion retail or work in luxury brand communications? What would you say?
Well, I would say, first of all, that if you love brands and fashion, it will be an amazing step into this industry. You would not only connect to international brands, you will also work with leaders in the industry. You will understand from the store how to grow in your career, and you could become a manager or a senior leader in this industry. Second is, if you love working with people, this is the place. Look at me! Look at me! Look at me!
You're coming alive. I can
I'm
see
like,
it.
but the second part is, if you really care and work about people, you could really be much more than just. You're not just a salesperson for me. You can be a stylist. You can be a trusted person for the customers, because clienteling is key. And this relationship building is an asset and a skill that you could use anywhere in life. And the third one is, because we have a lot of courses in Chalhoub University. It's so funny. I'm really pitching.
Yeah,
You will
I want
actually
you
learn a
to.
lot. Yeah, you will
Yeah.
learn a lot, because we have courses that you can become really an expert in fragrances, an expert in fashion, just from the courses you take within the group itself, and be part of the team.
You know, the other thing too, Lynn, I was thinking about as you were talking, like, let's say I want to launch my own brand someday. This is a great way to get in and learn the business and spend 5, 10 years learning about the retail industry, learning about how to build a brand, last mile logistics, how to do the marketing, how to talk to customers, how to handle customer objection. What are some of the questions people have about price and product? Like, it is a great way to learn if you have ambitions of someday having your own brand or running your own. I mean, this is a great way to come in and learn and be a part of a successful story, which really, really
Yeah,
excites me, because I'm seeing so much energy about some of the cool things happening in Saudi right now. So when I saw that campaign, I was like, I definitely need to ask her all about this.
amazing.
Let's pivot a second and go back a little bit about communications, because I get a lot of people who ask me, like, how do I start in PR? Or how do I get a job in communications? And like, it's different from when you and I started our careers, of what we needed to do and where we started. What advice would you give people who want to be in your job, a head of comms job someday, and in luxury retail brand, that industry? What advice would you give them about how to start their career in communications and in the luxury space in specific?
Well, I hope, I mean, with 2 years in this industry, I hope I'm the credible right person to talk about that part of it. But I think what is common is communication, or any role in this industry, is all about really understanding the consumer. So you have to know the numbers, you have to know the data, you have to understand truly the behaviors and the trends, because that's the only way you can connect and you can be very centric to your audiences. Um, if really they want to be in comms, I would say it's and I said it before, it's really about authenticity And it's no longer just the skills of writing a press release, right? ChatGPT can write a press release for you. It's about the emotional intelligence aspect. It's the relationship you build with the brands. It's how you romance the story, how you understand the history and the legacy. Because luxury is very deeply rooted in family businesses and designers that have a history and a legacy and generations. And that is the most beautiful part of the story, and that cannot be just something you learn, just by just learning how to write or how to post a post. It's really about loving this industry and loving the storytelling aspect of this industry. At the same time, if you're in communication, I think the biggest thing is being able to live every day and understand that your role is to help others shine. It's not about you, it's about them. And this is the fundamental thing that will help you succeed,
I
because
love it.
it's a very challenging role. You don't own anything. You work on everything for everyone else, right? You support spokespeople to speak. You write thought leaderships. You support on a brand communication. So it is about people's, most of the time, subjective opinions. You do have measures, you do have KPIs, but it's really, don't take it personally. You have to really
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
that, let me do it better and let me help others shine and let me help the brand succeed, especially if it's internal com as well. It's really thinking about the people and you have to love it. So that's a big one. And yeah, I think pretty much these are the things, to really be in communication. The rest of it is just be agile, because the trends are always changing. You have to follow the trend.
Changing. Yeah.
Love technology. Technology is everything in comms. Unlike what people believe, data and tech and science and engineering is all within the same,
So
coming
true.
together with the art. So yeah, you have to have an affinity
I
for.
love that. And how do you stay up to date with latest trends and practices in the field?
Well, it's first of all, I think it's I stay up with the trends because we listen. We listen everywhere. We listen online. We monitor. We read the news. We have relationships with the brands. We follow them. So for me, the trends is just by being in it. It's no longer like I take a course or I learn about it. It's really every day by listening and understanding what's happening. For me, learning, of course, when it comes to AI or any technology, I actually invest time to learn the tech and play around with it and explore and experiment. And with my team also, they love that. So we experiment, we test, we learn, always to ride on these new tools that will help us actually grow. And I think it's by following people. Today, this is another thing in communication. It's about
Love that.
people. You have to follow people who are making a difference, who are not just the influencers as such. No, you follow the business leaders, you follow the people in comms. I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by a lot of people in my role. It's
Industry.
not a it's not a competition in the industry. You follow, you get inspired, you learn from them, and I think as a collective we can all grow together. So that's another aspect. And when you follow the leaders as well in the industry, you understand the business
So
better.
good. So good. Last question, then we're going to do something fun called rapid fire. But I wanted to ask you, you touched on about ChatGPT helping write press releases. What are your thoughts on AI and how do you see it impacting the PR and communications industry?
I see it positively impacting. Honestly, I think like any technology that comes, if you know how to use it, it will really save you time. It will add skills and creativity and make you focus on the human aspect, on the relationship building, on the knowledge of the brand and the consumer, and using it in the right way. So I don't see it as a threat. I mean, and
Good.
whenever we have a transformation or evolution,
Something
we're all
new. People are
scared.
so scared.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think eventually it will all be balanced out, but it is definitely, it's really cool. I like just go and test, even design and creative and all of that. It will help to speed the process and help you deliver even nicer things that you usually do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that it's going to help speed and efficiency. But again, the creative process is always going to be human based, and
Absolutely.
data and intelligence are always going to be the factor that come into play. And we as humans know how to use that the best way. So, anyways, okay, rapid fire questions. I'm just going to shoot some stuff at you. Just first thing that comes to mind. What's your answer? Here we go. TikTok or
Yeah.
Instagram?
Instagram.
Reading or writing?
Both. Writing. Fine.
Online or in store?
Online.
I thought you were saying store. Okay, luxury. You work in the luxury business. Would you invest in shoes or a bag?
I know that what my brain tells me is bag, but what I do is shoes.
I know. I was
I'm
gonna say I thought you were a shoes person. I pretty thought you were a shoes person. I'm definitely
such
a
a shoes
bag person,
person.
but like you're, I figured rapid fire. You're definitely gonna say shoes. Okay, last question, which is my favorite question. I'm writing a book, and so I'm reading a lot of books. What is your favorite book?
So my favorite book of all time or related to comms or
Whatever, just anything, both. Maybe give you a couple of
hmm,
books then. One of your favorite books of all time, or
hmm.
favorite book that you're reading right now, or a book that you want to recommend me to read.
Okay, so one of my favorite book, well, I read a lot of personal development books and these books, I like them. And I think
Same.
Untamed by Glennon Doyle was Glennon,
So
is that her
good.
name? Is that her name?
Glennon Doyle. That's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
Glennon Doyle. Untamed is such a good book. It really touches you. And when you talk about purpose, I love that book because not just about the content that really shifts you and change your mindset, but also when you look at the way it's written and even as a book from a communications perspective, it really touches you very, very deeply. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
a
such a
great way.
moving book.
Yeah. The second one, which I liked as well, and I think it was one of the books you recommended at the beginning of the year, just so you know that I learned by following people as well, which is Smart Brevity.
Oh
It's
my
a book
God,
for
it's my favorite
communicators.
book.
Oh my God. Oh my, I made all my team read it. I think it's the best
Same.
book because if you're in communication and you're like, just keep it short, no one believes you. They just want to keep adding and adding. And maybe add a few here and an intro there and
Makes me
context there.
so
Oh my God.
happy.
Every person should read that book to be
This
straight to the
book.
point. And it's not aggressive and it's not rude if you're like straightforward. We're in the Middle East. We're like love sugarcoating and romancing everything, but in our day and
Yeah,
time, we need
yeah.
to be like crisp. So I love it.
It is every person who joins my company gets that as part of their starter kit. It's something I recommend anybody who reads, who writes. It's a short book. It's easy to read. It's easy to digest. It's good communications. And it's why I love
Absolutely.
that book. And I love this conversation that we had today. Lynn Al Khatib, head of group communications at Chalhoub Group. Thank you for being our guest today. You are articulate and inspiring, and I'm really going to continue to stay close to what you're up to because I think you're leading the market, and we all should take a note from what you're approaching and delivering. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maha. It was such a lovely, lovely podcast.
Yeah, thank you.